My name is Kavya Padmanabhan. I'm a lecturer here in the sociology department. And it's been my pleasure, and it's been a true undertaking to teach Making an Exoneree at Rice for the first time. But I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight, both in person and online. I am so glad that this room is filled right now, and I really thank all of my students for doing the best publicity job ever. So I want to begin with a conversation that I had with a student last week. We were talking about the class, trying to reflect a little bit on our experiences throughout the semester, and they told me that this experience, creating the documentary, was the hardest thing they'd ever done in their life. Over the past few months, and especially in the last 2 weeks, I have watched each student sitting before you push themselves in ways they hadn't before in order to create the documentaries you're about to see. There is no doubt that this work has been grueling. So students have poured through hundreds of pages of legal documents. They've reached out to experts, witnesses, family members, friends to understand their program participants' cases as deeply as possible. They've also learned how to operate cameras and travel to film interviews, gathering footage. And after returning, they've spent long nights in the editing studio, reviewing, shaping, refining stories. I see some of you laughing because you know it's true. And these stories, they built just for the hope that they could bring their participant one step closer to returning home. They've learned, so at times this has felt like a Herculean task. Students have had to navigate both unexpected and unexpected challenges. In one case, a group traveled hours to visit their program participant, only to be told upon arrival that their visit would not be allowed to move forward. And yeah, it was traumatic, but you guys pushed through. And they persisted. What has carried them through is the relationships they've built with John, Dan, Jacob, and Leonard, individuals who have been wrongfully imprisoned for crimes they did not commit. I've watched these students show up week after week on calls, in conversations, finding common ground, sharing laughter, even building inside jokes. And in doing so, they've made something clear. They're not just researchers or even just students completing an assignment. They're people who care, who listen, and who take seriously the responsibility of telling these stories. The criminal legal system systematically dehumanizes the people who are caught in its grasp. It reduces lives to case files, to charges, to labels. And that dehumanization is evident in the way our program participants have been treated. These documentaries and the relationships behind them highlight the program participants' innocence, yes, but more importantly, they restore their humanity in ways that the legal system cannot. They are a form of resistance. In a system that depends on reducing people to files, these documentaries insist on seeing them as full human beings. In a system that claims finality, they reopen the story. And in a system that operates in obscurity, they make injustice visible. This is what makes this work so powerful. It's not just storytelling, it's counter-storytelling. It challenges whose voices are treated as credible, whose lives are treated as grievable, and whose truths are allowed to matter. And so I want to return to what my students said, that this was the hardest thing they had ever done. I think it's hard because this work asks something different of them. It requires both rigor and care. It asks them not only to investigate, but to listen, not only to analyze, but to connect. And what you'll see tonight is the result of that effort. Stories that refuse to let us look away, but also calls us to action. Because the individuals whose stories you will hear tonight have collectively been imprisoned for 91 years for crimes they did not commit. I want to repeat that. 91 years. 91 years of lost time. 91 years away from family, from loved ones, from the lives they should have been able to live. And that is what's at stake here in the work that you're about to see. So thank you for being here and for bearing witness to these stories. Before I invite Mark Howard, who's the director of the Georgetown Prisons and Justice Initiative and the founder of Making an Exoneree, to speak, I want to spend a second to acknowledge the family members, friends, experts, guest speakers who all made this work possible. And many of you I know are on Zoom today or in person. So thank you so much. And most importantly, thank you to John, Dan, Jacob, and Leonard for trusting us with your stories.
Thank you, Kavya. Thank you, Jennifer, for making this program possible. I'm so excited to be here for the first ever Making an Exoneree showcase at Rice University. It's particularly powerful and meaningful for me, given that my father was a student here back in a different era when Rice at the time was segregated, and he was a civil rights leader and as a student and fought for justice on this campus. And now to be part of a program that has come to this place that's fighting for justice in America is really very beautiful, very meaningful for me. And it's so great to have a partnership that we've developed. You've done such an extraordinary job, Jennifer, in bringing the program here, and then in choosing Kavya, and Kavya in implementing it and making it possible, motivating your students, working together with this larger team. I want to give, just briefly, a little bit of the origin of Making an Exoneree. And I want to start by just saying that there are 2 million people in America right now sitting in cages, incarcerated. We have the highest incarceration levels in the world by far. And estimates say that 5 to 10% of them are innocent, were wrongfully convicted, shouldn't even be there. That's roughly 100,000 to potentially 200,000 people. That is staggering, that is troubling, and if that doesn't disturb you, I don't know what will. But for this program, and for me personally, this all started with one case, and that's the case of my childhood friend, Marty Tankleff, who is the co-director of this program and does absolutely everything with me, who's with us now by Zoom. This program would not exist without Marty, and tragically, it's because of the ordeal that he suffered through when his parents were murdered when we were both 17 years old on Long Island, New York. And as if that wasn't the worst thing that could happen to somebody at that age, he was then wrongfully convicted and spent almost 18 years in prison before being exonerated. So I want you all to clap for Marty for what he went through. And then what he has created, which is a program that has helped so many different people, that has activated and energized so many, now hundreds of students across multiple universities, because the program started with the two of us as childhood friends and something that we did at Georgetown, but we've now expanded it. We have an incredible team. They're all watching on Zoom as well. They all wish they could be here in person, but I'm here representing the larger Making an Exoneree team, Marty and the rest who worked tirelessly to bring this program not just to Georgetown, but to 4 other universities, and there are many more to come. This is a national movement that involves students and that inspires people to bring about justice. A lot of people say that young students and this young generation is navel-gazing and self-serving and not interested in larger issues. Well, I disagree. I think they have purpose, they have power, they have inspiration, they're resilient, and this program shows they can bring about results that really change the world. So this larger team here is behind us. And as you see, we've expanded, and you've heard from Georgetown, eventually to Princeton, to NYU, to Santa Cruz, and now to Rice. And it also is a partnership with the Georgetown Law School, which provides legal analysis for all of the different cases. But this is what it's all about, which is freedom for people who were wrongfully convicted, who never should have gone to prison in the first place. And there are 13 people who have walked out of prison, thanks in part to the incredible work that was conducted by Making Exoneree students at multiple universities, who served over 300 years in prison for crimes that they didn't commit, but are now free. And there are more to come. And I hope you see here that I'm rocking this belt that has, I can only wear this in Texas, that has my name on it, that was made by Nanan Williams, a dear friend, wrongfully convicted just 30 minutes from here, and I just spent the afternoon with Nanan. And he's incredibly talented. He has unbelievable skills and drive and is one of the smartest people I met. In some ways, he represents the hidden talent of so many incarcerated people. And I just want to acknowledge his wife, Tira, who's here with us for this event. And we hope that Nanan will be on the screen very soon. And of course, we are now about to see the product of the incredible work by Rice students. And we will see the 4 documentaries. And it's my sincere hope, and I know that very soon after watching these, you will agree with me that hopefully some or all of them eventually will be on the screen as well, will be free where they belong, thanks in part to these amazing students. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy what we're about to see. And really, let's celebrate what we hope will be freedom and success for this program. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna bookend the documentaries with calls from our program participant. So we already have one of our participants on the phone. So we're gonna. Okay, so just put them. Hi, John. Hello. Talk to him here.
It's on the line.
Yeah,
Got to get phone calls.
it's very.
It's very experimental, honestly. I don't know. I don't know how many of y'all have gone to an event like this with the. Yeah, a really fun thing about prison phones as well is that they give you about like 20 minutes, and so he'll be talking and he'll be in the middle of saying something to us on a legal call, and he will immediately get logged out, and then we'll have to call him back. That could be happening right now. It's possible. Okay. Yay! Documentary is going to go a little better than that, so.
Okay, so okay, yeah, that's totally fine. So we have like 3 minutes before hopefully another program participant calls in. In the meantime, you guys are actually going to be the ones to start us off. So what you could do to preface the call with John is to come up again. Sorry to make you sit down. And why don't you guys can say a few words. You can give your speech basically. Yeah, and then we'll hopefully hear from John. So.
Back again.
He's
Back.
Go ahead. You can start talking. Like.
Well, thank you all for being here today. I was wondering if you guys remember what you were doing on Valentine's Day this year. Maybe you were out with friends, or maybe you had work all day and came home to a bouquet of flowers. What you didn't know is that this Valentine's Day this year marked the 25th anniversary of Susan Hamilton's death and our program participant John Hamilton's wrongful incarceration for her murder. While we also went out with friends and loved ones for Valentine's Day, it was with the added weight knowing that a real person that we've spoken to and talked to was behind bars for something he didn't do. Okay. And this real person that we've gotten to know has been incredibly meaningful for us. This is a real person who his patients lined up around the courtroom the day he went to trial because they wanted to show his support. And this is a real person that we had the privilege of getting to know through this documentary making and through this experience.
We're going to hand it off to John. Hopefully you'll be able to hear him.
Hello, John.
Hello. Thank you all for letting me be here.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. John, whenever you're ready, you can give your intro.
Okay. My name is John Hamilton. I'm in Oklahoma. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to do this. I'm extremely grateful to the Oklahoma Innocence Project and Making an Exoneree for the time and effort they've put into not only proving that I was wrongly convicted, but proving my innocence. They've put in countless hours over a long period of time, and they're both great organizations. The students from Rice that came to interview me were particularly professional, organized, and ready for our interview. I'm not sure what everybody wants to hear. I've been locked up for about 25 years. I've spent my time trying to be as productive as humanly possible. while incarcerated. I've been a GED tutor at different institutions for more than 10 years. I've spent my time, I've taken college classes both by correspondence and in class. I've accumulated, besides the degrees I've had previously, I've accumulated another 52 hours, pretty much split between business and mathematics. I have taken pretty much every program that the prison system offers that could in any way apply to me. I took what's called Prison Fellowship Academy, which is a year-long Christian-based program to teach inmates how to live by the values of good citizenship and be prepared to get out of prison, because most people that are in prison are going to get out. I finished that about 2 years ago, and since then I've worked for the program director here at this prison to not only just be his assistant, but also help teach the classes. So I try not to just let my time be idle. I don't know if anyone has questions or if there's anything else people want to know.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone really appreciated hearing from you. Can we do questions? That's going to be, I think the logistics of that are going to be a little difficult, but hopefully we'll figure out a way to get questions to you later on if that comes up. All right. It was so good to hear from you.
I appreciate you letting me do this. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Talk soon. Bye. What? All right.
Great. So we'll let you guys
Dance on the line?
Well, and then we'll come back to you guys.
Cool. Yeah.
A little bit of flexible situation over here.
So,
Okay. Ajay, are you still there?
Can you try speaking so I can hear you?
Yeah. Is my hopefully my Wi-Fi is okay.
Sounds great, Dan. Is there anything you'd like to say about MAE, the program? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dan Hamilton, and I've been really invested. Impressed with the way the students got invested in this program and really put all the effort they could into it. I know my niece had said the same thing. I mean, she didn't know what to expect, and she was pretty much floored with how invested they were. So I'm really appreciative of that.
Do you have a new word of the day you want to share with us?
Word of the day? Actually, I was trying to figure out the noise your stomach makes when it rumbles, but I haven't found it yet. Good thing I don't have Google.
Okay, maybe we can Google and get that one back to you.
There's going to be a name for it, right?
Anyone in the audience have an answer? Like a gurgle? Yeah.
A gurgle?
A gurgle or a grumble. There's got to be more.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Well, thank you so much. If you do you have anything else you want to say, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? I don't know. Anything else you want to say to the audience that has shown up today?
Not really. I really wanted a chance to say thank you all for all you're doing. Hopefully, that'll get the message out that not everything is what it appears to be on the surface. And I mean, if you make assumptions, things usually go bad, and they have in this case. And there's a lot of things that led up to automatic assumptions in this case because of the things that were happening in Oklahoma at the time. There was a Ryan Lou case, and there was an Abishur case, and then my case was right behind it. So they just Everybody assumed that it was just a string of things that happened. But it wasn't.
Well, thank you so much, Dan.
Catch you up in a bit.
We'll talk to you later, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Let's go, Dan.
We'll hear from our other two program participants after we watch all of the documentaries. So finally, we're getting into what you've been coming here for. So I'm going to call you guys back up. Sorry. Do you have anything more? I know, Bela, you started us off. If there's anything more that you wanted to share.
Hi, all. My name's Lisa. I am also one of three in this project. And as y'all heard a little bit over the phone, hopefully, some of what really struck me about John is how he really just doesn't like to sit idle. He doesn't like to, waste his time. And I think he really dedicates himself a lot to a lot of causes. And I think, I don't know if y'all saw in the original photo that was up of, the four participants, John was the one with the Hope shirt. And I wanted to explain that. Yeah, the Hope shirt right there. And I wanted to explain that a little bit just really quick. A lot of the organizations he's been working with where he gets to, teach classes, collaborate with people, help them get their GEDs, help them get back on track as much as they can while they're incarcerated. One of these organizations is called Pathways, which is a prison advocacy organization. And him and other inmates made these shirts themselves. They screen printed them themselves while incarcerated. And I think it's just a reminder that, he has maintained this kind of hope for so long. And it's really incredible. And I think Easton can talk a little bit about just like what it was getting to know him as well.
So back for the third time. Hi, everyone. I'm Easton. And as we were saying, there's a lot about John that we couldn't fit into the 8 minutes of our doc. Presented with the case files, like really paper, but getting to know him more really brought him to life. Like when I learned that we share a birthday or the same favorite football team, go Pack Go, and we really just learned okay, let's not get into that today about the program participants, but we really just learned a lot about his character and the beautiful person that he really is. One of the things that struck me most about him was when he was arrested, the first thing that a lot of his patients said was not, "Oh, my doctor is a criminal," but, "Oh, my doctor is no longer here to take care of me," which really just shows the impact that he had on his community and the great provider of care that he really was. I don't want to say too much, and I want to let our documentary speak for itself, but I hope that you can also get to know John and care for him as much as we have.
Okay, bear with me while I...
Guilty, that is the word after just 2 hours of deliberations. New tonight, a jury decides Oklahoma City Dr. John Hamilton did murder his wife, Susan. News 9's Tamara Pratt just walked out of the courtroom. Tamara, give us the latest.
And Kelly, with that verdict of guilty, you get a life without parole. That is what the 12-member jury decided was John Hamilton's fate.
The stage was set for one of the most publicized trials in Oklahoma history.
Analysis couldn't say, yes, he did or no, he didn't, but it certainly gave an insight into maybe there was something more to the story that we didn't know.
911. Please, send an ambulance, please.
What's the problem?
My wife, I think my wife is dead.
Sir?
Please, listen, I'm a doctor. I've been trying CPR. Please send somebody, quick.
Okay. Is she not breathing?
No, she's not breathing. I don't get pulse, please.
Okay.
Hurry.
You're doing CPR on her?
I could not understand what they arrested him for, and never understood how they came to the conclusion to arrest him so fast. My lawyer went to the trials and said, well, there's no way they're going to convict him. This is weak evidence. And the evidence was basically just that he had blood on him.
Bevel testifies that he found blood spatter up inside John Hamilton's shirt sleeve, spatter inconsistent with Hamilton's story.
I would say on the front end, the first thing they should do is Google their expert and see, what kind of news comes up about them. Every expert is going to make somebody unhappy at some point. So, just because there's something negative doesn't necessarily take them out of the running, but you kind of want to look for themes. Do you see a lot of comments about false testimony, wrongful convictions, controversial findings, things like that? This discipline requires some interpretation, and more often than not, there's more than one way a particular pattern might have been formed. And so you have to, sometimes the best you can say is that it could be either this or that, and there's no other deciding factors based on the case information. You should be very wary of any expert that gets up there and says that this is the only way this could have happened. Based on my review of this case, I do believe that further investigation into the conclusions of the bloodstain pattern analysis is warranted.
This was a classic case of the police getting an immediate theory, and then their entire investigation proceeded down the line of finding everything that supported that theory and ignoring anything that didn't.
The timeline was extremely tight for the doctor to even be considered as a suspect. You'd have to believe that he committed the violent murder in that narrow window between his two surgeries.
There is a very good timeline from the moment I left my house, which is fairly documented, to every place I went, the people I saw in the hospital before I did my second surgery. And then I saw Dr. Metcalf, Dr. Ray Hall. I changed clothes. I left my house, drove to Mercy, walked in, changed clothes, and the anesthesiologist saw me.
The surgery went fine. There was nothing whatsoever that happened during that surgery that made me think anything unusual.
There have been a great many acts of violence against abortion clinics. Faye Waddleton, the president of Planned Parenthood, points out that there has been so much violent rhetoric directed against doctors who perform abortions, calling them murderers, for example, that the rhetoric has spawned a certain violent activism.
Dr. Hamilton and his wife had a very active abortion clinic in Oklahoma City, which was subject to protests both at that clinic and at the hospital that we worked at. Protesters came and demonstrated on the grounds of the hospital against Dr. Hamilton and against the hospital, saying the hospital should throw him off the staff because he performed abortions.
To let this community know that this man is using this place to kill innocent children, that he's paying for his car and his house and his drapes and his furniture with the shed blood of innocent children that he derives from this.
The Army of God has been directly linked to at least 2 murders, numerous clinic bombings, and even the kidnapping of a doctor and his wife.
We, the undersigned, declare the justice of taking all godly action necessary to defend innocent human life, including the use of force.
I always knew about his clinic conflicts. They tried to burn it down one time.
And they got more and more and more aggressive. And then I had one friend that was killed by the anti-abortion people in Wichita, Kansas.
Good heavens. The manager of the clinic is murdered, and you have all these threats, and there is no discussion of investigating that line. I was incredulous, and I still am to this day.
Feeling the pain that he was going through because of all this, not just being arrested, but losing this wife that he loved so much.
It just seemed that we were a natural fit from the beginning. We both liked to travel. We liked to have time together. There's really nothing better than making a personal connection with somebody that you're in love with, that you can spend time with, that you can share basically everything with. We made things work, and it worked for both of us. She was obviously beautiful. She was intelligent. She was a very strong woman. She knew what she wanted. She enjoyed life. Our honeymoon to Italy stood out as something special because we had just got married and we had a terrible experience with the airlines. It was a hassle, but we shared it together and just laughed about it. And we spent 2 weeks traveling, and most of that was walking. We spent hours together, and it was a great experience.
He took this picture of me holding the bigger fish, and this is the time we were out hunting. And most of the pictures of me, of me fishing, he took this one. I still consider him my best friend. He's just the best friend that I don't get to do things with, to go fishing with, to go hunting with, to go out to dinner with. Sad. Makes me sad now.
So I'll keep it like this, and we can share it. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, you do need a mic. Okay.
Should we just...
Hi, everyone. Oh, it works. Good. My name is Veronica Zuniga, and along with my group mates, Alika Jimenez, Kayla McPherson, and Lydia Fry, our Georgetown law student, we have spent the last few months reinvestigating the wrongful conviction case of Daniel Hamilton. This semester, we have had the honor of sharing his story and the privilege of getting to know Daniel, or as he prefers, Dan. He is a caring father, a former staff sergeant for the United States Air Force, and a beloved friend to many. Sentenced to life in prison, Dan has spent over 31 years wrongfully incarcerated for simply being there the night that medical neglect led to the passing of his girlfriend's 18-month-old daughter, Brittany Harris. That night, he lost not only Brittany, but his fatherhood and his life, since missing out on the childhoods of his 2 daughters. He was convicted over the now debated medical theory, shaken baby syndrome, and was a victim of a blatantly biased medical investigation.
However, throughout his incarceration, Dan has never wavered in his gentle and compassionate nature, acting as a mentor for others while incarcerated. We've learned about his design and AutoCAD work, particularly in designing license plate, benches, and even safe rooms. We've also increased our vocabulary tenfold because of the words of the day that he shares with us when he can. I even found out that we've both actually been the owners of Akitas who ran away and never returned, which is a crazy coincidence. We're incredibly grateful to have gotten to know Dan beyond the case, and we hope this documentary gives you the chance to witness Dan's incredible character and understand all of the medical and legal injustices that led to an innocent man's life sentence.
His family, friends, and even his former cellmates all describe Dan as selfless, smart, famously funny, and patient. And in fact, given the long documented history of his extreme patience, we're pretty sure that dealing with a group of students who've been poking around at his life is the ultimate test of his just great nature in general. And finally, to Daniel from us, as we said to you throughout the course of the semester, anything for you, Dan. We're glad to have worked with such an amazing individual, and we hope you are moved by his story the same way we were. Please enjoy our film.
I do remember that they got a call, something terrible had happened, and Brittany had died, and that he was in jail, and everybody was just so confused. I remember everybody thinking there has to be a mistake. Look, something is terribly wrong.
My name is Daniel Hamilton. I've been in prison now for 31 years. That evening, I got up and worked on my computer, and Brittany came in, so I gave her a drink, and I gave her a hug, and told her to go back to bed. So she went back to bed, and sometime later was when I heard the thumps coming out of her room.
When she started her head banging, I want to say it was probably 3 or 4 months before she passed away. She would just literally be playing with her toys and just throw herself on the floor and just start whacking her head into the ground. And it wasn't even a month before she passed away that I had taken her to the pediatrician, and she banged her head with the doctor right there. And he said it was just a tantrum and that she would grow out of it.
And I got up and went in there, and I saw she wasn't breathing. And I took her to the living room, and I called 911. And I tried to keep on doing CPR. Police officer told me they would take me or follow the ambulance to the hospital. But instead they wound up taking me to the Dell City Jail and arrested me for suspicion of child abuse.
Daniel Hamilton was convicted on a theory that doesn't hold up anymore. The evidence that was provided to the jury did not accurately describe what occurred to this child.
The medicine and the file available to me do not prove to me this was a homicide. The typical so-called shaking baby who goes on to die will only have 3 findings. The typical one: bleeding around the brain, bleeding at the backs of the eyes, a swollen oxygen-deprived brain. And those 3 things together can be caused by lots of other things that aren't trauma. This little kid has terrible pneumonia. Microscopic work proves that. But this kind of pneumonia took a period of time. And that kid can appear totally normal until they suddenly deteriorate and become septic and their organs start to fail. They can develop signs of bleeding, such as subdural hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage, bleeding at the backs of the eyes. No apparent work was put into confirming that the bleeding around the brain was due to trauma. It was assumed it was trauma.
There were several other children in the Oklahoma City area. Within a 6-month time, there was
That had been
killed or harmed by a parent or a caregiver. And they wanted someone to pay for this.
And he was the first one they were able to convict.
I agree, you should get people that hurt kids, but you should prove it first. Let the evidence speak for itself.
They will never convince me that he could have lifted that child up, much less anything else.
He had trouble just getting the towel to dry his hair because of his back and everything.
We were working on a computer and he wanted the case off of the computer and he couldn't pull it off himself. The thing that I remember most about Daniel Hamilton's case is the photograph I was given while we were investigating the case of Dan sitting on the edge of the tub with his little daughter, teaching her how to brush her teeth. And when I saw that picture depicts a gentle nature. In a single photograph, I thought it told you everything you needed to know about Dan.
If you could describe Dan in just 3 words, what would they be and why?
Thoughtful, kind, intelligent.
Say intelligent, funny, friendly.
Honest, because he really is honest to a fault. You know, when this all started, they offered him a plea deal and he refused to even consider it because he said there's just absolutely no way I'll admit to something that I didn't do. He's funny without trying to be. He does the dad jokes for days, and they're not funny at all, but he laughs hilariously. He's been shortchanged. I mean, that's probably the easiest way. He's been robbed of the last 30 years. Last year, they could only get certain things every year. It was time for him to get a new pair of shoes. Instead, he sends me his cellmate's shoe size number and a pair of boots that he really needs. And he said, just buy him a pair of boots instead. So you can only get one pair. So he just didn't get any new shoes that year because I sent them to his cellmate. It's just the type of person he is. He always puts everybody else first, even now.
Everyone that knew Dan
They didn't believe
didn't
it.
believe that he did what they claimed he did.
He was patient. He was just very hands-on.
Never did I see him get angry with his children. Never.
Dan was always calm. He loved them and was a good dad to them, and he was proud of them.
I would let him watch my children that day if he was out. And I'd watched him with his kids. I'd watched him with my kids. And there was nothing that he ever did that was wrong. Nothing.
Trusted in 1,000% with my daughter. Some incidents had happened at my father's house, and Dan had offered to get me away. And I knew that if he was willing to save me, that he's a good person. There's no way he would ever do anything wrong to my daughter. And just in hindsight, looking back, due to my medical conditions, I believe Brittany had some sort of chemical imbalance or something was going on to cause this child to do that. I feel like the medical community failed not only me but Dan as well, because he's in there on an unjust charge. I feel guilty every day of my life that Dan's in prison for something that he didn't do. I firmly believe that.
Kids only grow up once and I missed some of it. I didn't see him graduate or go to proms or any of that stuff. So both my mom and my dad have passed. I lost Brittany, which is the hardest part of it all. Never again to put the sun on your face. Or smell the freshness of the earth in the spring. Catch the raindrops as they fall, or run, just because you can. Never to watch the newborn chick or play a game of hide and seek. Climb into my lap and fall asleep, or be comforted when you are sick.
Next we have Leonard Coleman. Hi everyone, and thank you for. No, it is working. Okay. Hi everyone, and thank you for coming to the Rise Cohort's Making an Exoneree showcase. I'm so happy that you all are here to learn about these 4 incredible stories. And now a little bit about Leonard's. I'm Carly.
I'm Amra.
And we have been working with Leonard Coleman throughout this semester. A bit about Leonard's case is that December 14th, 2010, Leonard was accused of murdering the mother of his child, Kimberly Mixon. And at the beginning of 2012, 2 years later, Leonard was sentenced to life in prison, and he's been wrongfully incarcerated for over 14 years. He was convicted on out-of-court statements from his 4-year-old son with a speech disability. He had an alibi that was vetted by multiple witnesses. And lastly, Moses Butler, another Dauphin Island Parkway resident, confessed in great detail to individuals who came forward with affidavits in 2021. Unfortunately, these statements were not able to be admitted, as Butler took his life in 2015 and has not been able to vet his statements as a result.
Right. So just a little bit about Leonard, right? Getting to know Leonard has been an incredible experience. While we have never met in person, we regularly communicate through core links, which is basically something that allows you to call people in prison and just by phone. We talk about everything from his love of basketball, the places he wants to travel to when he gets out, his favorite places in Mobile, and just so much more. He's a great person. Leonard considers us family, and we do the same for him. And we are just so lucky and grateful to get to know such an amazing person through the Making an Exoneree program. As his family, lawyers, wife, and kids have said, anyone who knows Leonard knows that he is innocent. He's a loving son and husband, a dedicated father to his 7 children, and a lifelong learner. He dreams of starting his own business. And we're hoping that after serving 15 years in prison for a crime he did not commit, Leonard will be able to that or you guys enjoyed it.
When a wrongful conviction happens, more than one life is taken.
My name is Leonard Coleman, and I just want to tell my story.
He's a caring person. He's a good person. He don't have to know you. He's going to look out for you. When his kids were like little babies, and he had brought them to see me, and I say, why you got that little baby? You don't know how to keep that baby. Mama, yes, I do. He knew how to change the baby, feed the baby, and everything. And he took care of him. He wasn't thinking about going out and party. He didn't do stuff like that. He took care of those kids.
At trial, the evidence showed that the night before Kimberly was murdered, Leonard stayed at Kimberly's house, as he often did. At 7:40 a.m. on the day of Kimberly's death, Leonard went home. At 8 a.m., he spoke with Kimberly on the phone.
Leonard was on the phone with her back and forth, and then all of a sudden he was telling me and Brittany, he said, I tried to call Kim back, but she's not answering her phone. And I said, oh, and I told her she might be asleep or something. He said, no, that's not like her, or whatever. So I guess he couldn't get a hold of her. So me, Leonard, and Brittany got in the truck together to go around and to see what was going on. That's when we seen all the cops everywhere.
When he arrived, he was immediately detained.
The police officer that Kim was dating was the same police officer that was at the scene after Kim was murdered by someone. And when he saw Leonard there, I was told that he said, I'm going to get you. I know that you did this, and I'm going to have you arrested and put in prison for her murder.
He was the main suspect from the beginning. They never even tried to find anybody else. They never looked for anybody else. They never questioned anybody else. They just zeroed in on him.
It's like when Leonard walked in, he was already convicted.
If he was doing something really cold, he said, come on up and murderer. He said, if you got a murderer in the courtroom, come on up, murderer, come on up, murderer.
The evidence showed that Xavion did not know how to dial a phone. And then, of course, you had the whole issue of Xavion's echolalia, which his speech pathologist said he can't string a sentence together on his own for more than 3 words. But if someone said something to him, he could repeat it.
Echolalia itself is when you hear a word or a phrase or a sentence and you can echo the exact same word, phrase, or sentence, either immediately or delayed. I felt like that the jury didn't understand how delayed Xavion's language actually was. He did have echolalia, and he would echo or repeat phrases and sentences. I mean, I was a speech therapist. I am a speech therapist, and You know, even I had trouble transcribing the transcript. It took me a long time, and there were some places in the transcript where it was just indecipherable. I couldn't understand them, and I'm a trained listener. I would not put much credence in their ability to interpret that if I could not have interpreted it.
Leonard contacted me, and Leonard's uncle, I believe, contacted me that they had a witness approach them and say that they had information that they were willing to testify to.
Yeah, so it was it was early March of 2010. I was taking my oldest daughter, Alasia Coleman, to visit her dad, Leonard. I was on my way over there, and when I got there, Kimberly answered the door, and she said, Leonard's not here right now. He had gone to get the baby some Pampers. And I said, okay. So before I was about to leave, Kimberly's phone had rung, and I guess that was Leonard on the phone. He had called her, and he said, I had just gotten into an altercation with this dude named Moses. He tried to rob me and take my money. So me and Kim, we both got in a car together and went down there. We both drove to the scene. He said he was at the BP gas station. And there was police everywhere when me and Kim arrived on the scene. There was witnesses everywhere. Moses, he was just out there frantically cussing and screaming, saying, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. Kim said, that's what you get for trying to start stuff with my baby daddy anyway. And he was like, shut up, I'm gonna kill you.
I know Moses from growing up with him, and I know him very well. Moses wasn't his kind of guy that he liked in the neighborhood around his kids, because that's what he used to say. And so they used to get into it, like argue, exchange words. Moses used to do stuff like come to the park down the street from his house and shoot towards his house and threaten to kill him. So then when he came and he told me about it, it was just like he got the or whatever. He was like he didn't get him, but he got her. Whenever he came to confess, he also said that he made his son call, and he snatched the phone from him and hung it up. And he said he made his son say, Daddy did it.
There seemed to be a great deal of injustice involving Leonard's case. Anyone who has met Leonard understands that he is not guilty.
When I got in that interrogation room, that they were saying that I was the one that committed that murder that I knew I didn't do, it was hard because it's like my son lost his mother, and I've been accused for a crime that I didn't even commit, you know, and it's like I'm being accused for something that somebody else done that she was my best friend, my son's mother, you know. I mean, I got other baby mamas. I would never do anything to hurt one of my baby mamas, and for them to just frame me for that, and it just hurt, you know. It's just so painful. And I lost the best friend behind this. I lost my children behind this. I lost everything I loved from behind it. It's like my sister is, you know, it's like the only thing they can do is hear from me. You know, it's like I can't be physically with you. My children, I've been watching them grow up in pictures. I've been watching my children graduate and I can't be there. I've been missing birthdays and I can't be there. You know? And it's like I've been missing out on so much in my children's life.
Hey Sarah, tell everybody on Facebook who did your hair. Daddy, can you have less than somebody else?
Sometimes it's not even about like the big moments. It's about little moments. Like today is a nice day. I would like to go to the beach with my dad, or today's a great day to go on a road trip and go hiking. Like I can take my dad.
And I'm always trying for myself to make myself a better person, a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better uncle. You know, whatever I can do, I like to be better.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ariana.
I'm Jessalee.
And I'm Olivia. And
I'm Isaiah Floyd.
all right, so we are excited to present our documentary on our program participant, Jacob Cobb. When he was just 17 years old, he was wrongfully convicted of second-degree murder. He has since spent 21 years incarcerated, but that has never dimmed his spirit. Jacob is a kind-hearted individual who loves to play in basketball tournaments, listen to country music, especially Tim McGraw, call his family, namely his mom, he's always calling himself a mama's boy, and so much more. Jacob's case is extremely unique. I don't want to give too much away before the documentary, but his case is riddled with inaccurate timelines, misconduct from authorities, and inconsistencies.
Despite these injustices, Jacob has consistently maintained his innocence and, above all else, his faith. Jacob truly radiates such a beautiful light. From our initial call, he has always been so grateful to us and MAE for, as he says it, believing in him. It has been such an honor to be able to learn about his favorite sports, country songs, movies, and of course, his amazing job. Jacob's positive attitude often kept us going as we endured long travel days and editing sessions. The ability to reinstate a little bit of hope in Jacob and his beautiful mother, Dawn, made all of the sleepless nights worth it. I continue to be so amazed at how selfless he is despite the circumstances. He always prioritizes asking us how we are doing, and he never forgets to end phone calls by saying, "Stay safe out there." Jacob has taught me the true meaning of compassion, and I cannot wait for the world to be able to experience his goodness. Along us today, we have, oh, okay, just kidding.
Okay. For me, the most impactful parts of this experience were the simple conversations. Of course, it was heartbreaking to hear what Jacob's family has been through, but it was also incredible to hear about the joy that they have in their lives. We've been truly welcomed into Jacob's family, and that kind of trust is something that we have never taken for granted. It can be easy to define someone by the ways they've been victimized, especially when it happens on such a large scale and in such a horrific way. But this class has allowed me to see Jacob and all of the program participants as the resilient and wonderful people that they are, and this experience will inform the way that I interact with people for the rest of my life. I want to finish up by thanking some people who have gotten us here today: Kavya, Soli, Christian, Amanda, Amelia, Mark, Marty, Joy, everyone at Making An Exoneree. We couldn't have done this without you, and we're so lucky to have had you in our corner. Thank you for everything you've done for us and for Jacob. And now I want to introduce Isaiah Floyd, who is one of Jacob's closest friends.
Hello. Again, my name is Isaiah Floyd. As you may know, it is one of my closest friends. He's like a brother to me, but most importantly, me and Jacob met in 2012. We both served time together. And you never know somebody like who they actually are until you see them on a consistent day-to-day basis. So for me to sleep right next to this young man, you get to kind of see just who this person really is, beyond what the world may throw at you. And a lot of time in prison, somebody will just tell you their case, but then there'll be those times where somebody will just display to you, you just see the hurt in their eyes and in the way that they walk. But you also see the strength that they have with trying to keep up every single day, just knowing that one day that he's going to be able to do this. I mean, he talks so much about how he wants to learn how to drive a car, how he wants to go on dates, how he wants to do all these things. And I just cannot wait. And I haven't even seen the documentary yet, and I don't want to give too much away because there are just so many things that he's expressed to me that I don't even think the students know. But I don't want to give anything away. I just hope that y'all enjoy, because I feel sorry for the world because they have not got to meet this young man. So I just want to thank y'all so much, and yeah.
she was like the black sheep of her family because they all have money and she didn't have any of that. I know that my mom was suicidal. She was really, really depressed.
It was very close to that day, and I remember hearing her scream in her room. I went to check on her and I was like, Granny, are you okay? And she said, no, I'm not okay.
For women who complete suicide, more often they are completing suicide due to loss.
For her husband, he died of a heart attack in the street.
He left her that house, and then his kids were trying to get the house from her. They ended up calling her, harassing her. I think that's why she ended up killing herself.
I also remember her taking my brother and me to Walmart, and she bought some bullets.
Jake's brother, he has suicidal tendencies. My sister, she committed suicide not too long ago.
Oftentimes, we do see if suicide is in the family, a person is more likely to complete suicide.
I remember being in the living room area, hearing somebody say, did you hear that? And that person said it sounded like a gunshot. My brother, he had a note saying, I think Granny left us. When I walked into her room, I just remember seeing blood everywhere and I started screaming. My name is Jacob Cobb. I'm 37 years old. I've been locked up for 21 years for a crime that I didn't commit. I was on the living room couch. I went to my room. I put a pair of shorts on, my shoes and socks on, and then I went back into the group.
It's only a 5-minute window, right? And how do you have someone force themselves to write a suicide note in that time and also kill herself?
I always wondered, like, man, what happened to that second note? Like, that detective, like, somebody seen that note. Why did it never come up?
By my judgment, women are more likely to write suicide notes, in particular multiple suicide notes.
That's a huge issue. Now, that's also state misconduct. If the defense attorney never got the suicide note, or if it was misplaced or the chain of custody was incorrect, then the state effectively lied on the stand. Typically, when the police point at someone, they put blinders on, right? And so they do selective investigation.
I remember being interrogated by Detective Pringle at the Lake Worth Police Department. He was telling me, just say you did it. And I was telling them that I didn't do it. I was scared, I was crying, I was telling them, and they're lying, I didn't do it.
A lot of people are surprised to learn that detectives and prosecutors sometimes are present for autopsies. And they're actually giving information to the medical examiner that could potentially influence their opinion before they've actually completed the autopsy.
Tarrant County is firing its medical examiner. The audit shows he worked on more than 24 homicides last year that had omissions, lapses, and failure to obtain necessary records. The audit says Dr. Mark Krause was suspended for performing homicide autopsies in early November. The audit found issues in 27 out of the 41 cases it reviewed from the first 10 months of last year.
If this medical examiner's office has a history of making mistakes during their autopsies, a history of giving less than trustworthy testimony in court, they may very well be a problem in this case. They did a handwriting comparison on the suicide note, and they determined that it was in fact written by the decedent. They found fingerprints on the suicide note, and they determined that they did not belong to Jacob. They tested for gunshot residue on Jacob and they found none. These, you would think, would all be pieces of information that would point to Jacob's innocence.
When the prosecution stood up and said, "We rest our case," my attorney stood up right after them and said, "The defense also rests its case." And I was a kid. I didn't understand how trials worked and stuff like that. And I remember there was a collective gasp in the courtroom.
That's his whole childhood. It's now gone.
But it's just crazy to think how long he's already been in there and how much of his life has gone by.
He's earned a chance. He's really intelligent. All the classes available to him, he takes. He's always doing something to like make himself better.
I feel more sorry for the world for not being able to just receive him yet because they're missing out. He stood up for what was right. Was not gonna let the little guy get picked on. And I just love the guy so much.
Honestly, I just want a simple life. A wife, a beautiful family, and a good job to take care of them.
We envision enjoying the simple things in life and enjoying each other because time is something precious to us and it has stolen so much from him.
I've gained a lot of wisdom. I've gained a lot of understanding. I just feel like I have a lot to give now.
It's been a lot of stress, a lot of sadness. Especially when it was my mom. I didn't be blamed for it. I know in my heart that there's no way Jacob could ever do something like that.
I've always been a mama's boy. I just remember being happy with her, and since my incarceration, she stuck by my side. Like, she raised me, she knows my heart. She's been here with me this whole time, supporting me through this tragedy, and I love her more than anything in this world.
I love you most.
Love you, Jake.
I love you more. I love you most. Still cute as ever.
Went into creating all 4 of these documentaries and the beautiful stories they told. We're now gonna wait for our 2. Oh, we got one. Okay. We have 2 of our Leonard and Jacob are gonna be calling in now. Hi, Leonard.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm 2 minutes early.
That's okay. Perfect timing. Everyone's here. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Yeah, I want to say hey to everybody. Yeah. Hey, how everybody doing? I want to say hey, and I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for all the support. I want to thank Marty and Mark for bringing this organization about. So much praise and honor go to them. And I just want to thank everybody for coming together. You know, it's like a dream come true just to know there's people out there that really care about people. So what's going on? Y'all watch the documentary?
Yeah, they just watching it.
Oh, okay. Well, elaborate on it. Tell me how was it? Yeah, and like I said, I just want to thank everybody so much, for the support. I mean, me and my family deeply appreciate all the support, all the love, and like I said, for Marcus and Mark and Marty, I deeply appreciate them people bringing this organization. So I'm just very grateful, and I just feel very blessed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leonard.
Yeah, I'll stay on with you for. But thank you so much.
Great.
I think Jacob's on the phone too, so. Ah.
Okay, you're on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Brian Cobb. I have been incarcerated for over 20 years now for a crime I did not commit. This experience has been life-changing, not only on me, but my family and loved ones as well. I've spent every day advocating my innocence and just want to express my deepest gratitude for everyone involved in the Making An Exoneree program. First, I want to give a special thanks to my team, the young women who are behind my case. From the very beginning, I could see your devotion to this cause. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and just want to say thank you for being so dedicated, down to earth, and kind. I also want to thank every student who is helping someone in a similar situation as me. None of this is possible without you guys. And to the families in attendance today, thank you so much for your support as well. To the entire MAE program and everyone who supports this cause, including professors, attorneys, and anyone behind the scenes who I may not know of, I want to say thank you for seeing beyond the presumption of guilt and for coming together to restore hope for so many people. You have my deepest respect and gratitude. God bless you all.
Okay, great. You can finish the call off, but I'm gonna transition to Q&A. Can one of you stay behind, perhaps, to answer on any questions from Jacob? Okay, cool. And then all of y'all, come on up, students. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna check the Zoom. Okay, so does anyone have questions in the audience? Yeah, go for it. Actually, wait, let me give you a mic. Our friends on Zoom can hear.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oneida Hendricks. I'm from Houston, Texas. And it's kind of hard for people to come over to these places and speak out. Some people, they feel embarrassed when a tragedy gets into your own family, especially when you are an immigrant. You come from a different country, and then you get in the situation like in my case. But today I'm very motivated. to ask them what drives a person to act in service of strangers, even when their actions will be misunderstood and lead to harsh accusations. Like in my case, the love of my brother drives me to keep fighting for him every day. I know what it is. I know what it is not to have birthdays, Christmas. My mom, being an old lady, he took his son when she was 65, and he's about almost 16 years in September for being locked up. But I just wondering, what is the difference between you guys being students as a family member, fight for 17 years, traveling every month, every place that he can be. The only time that I don't talk to my brother, the only time that I can't do anything is when they get locked up for something that they do inside the prison. But I just want to know what motivates young guys like you guys, students.
Well, first off, thank you so much for speaking and for asking us that question. I really appreciate your story. And I know that I speak for a lot of the students today when I say that um, hope goes a long way. Um, a lot of time is a material thing. It is not something that can be stretched out. It's not something that can be saved. Me personally, I am a very empathetic person. I think about people the way other people don't. And knowing that the incarceral system is very disproportionate, it is one of the highest countries that imprisons people. There's a lot of people that are, for example, people that didn't commit the crime. And so my personal end goal in life is to become a judge. And I say that because I believe people should be looked at because they're people holistically, not because there is a law in statute that says that they should act this X, Y, and Z. Um, and our experience, specifically with Daniel Hamilton, he believes in God, and he has held hope for the last 31 years. He has not. Of course, he is very blessed. He always says that he's blessed that we have worked with him. But he's one of the most patient, one of the most hopeful people that I've ever met. So I can't give you a definitive answer on what makes us believe in the things that we do. But for me personally, um, I know that empathy is a big part of it. And the world the world is a lot of things, and I think cruel is one of them. And I think that people can help one another, and so I'm just glad that we were able to help anyone we can.
Um, I often think that when we come into spaces, especially prestigious spaces like Rice, we tend to forget that a lot of the students here often come from lived experiences as well. Um, I have very close ties to this work, and I always felt really silenced for a long time, in that I felt like no one really understood. So I think, in short, to answer your question, I think it's lived experience, and I think it's feeling that other people might not understand, and more so other people aren't going to humanize in the way that you can, because hearing and I think knowing that your position is something a lot of the students here. I think we sit with the fact that we are in a prestigious place where we have access to resources, both financial, faculty based, that can allow us to help people who don't have access to those resources. So I think that's something that it's like holistically representative of why we're able to do this work.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nakia Cooper, and we represent Houston Community Media and American Community Media. And the first thing I want to say is kudos to you all. Job well done. The passion, the dedication, and such a great, the documentaries are mind blowing. And so, being someone who knows people who are, wrongfully incarcerated, convicted, when we were watching the first couple, I was waiting to hear, and he's been released. And then we didn't. And then the next one, and then he's been released. And we didn't. And then that's when it goes back to making an exoneree. The question I have is because I believe that everyone who watched these I think we collectively know these are innocent people who are trapped in this system. The question I have is anyone listening to you? Are they reopening cases? I see that one gentleman is up for parole, but sometimes when you come up for parole, they want to hear you say an admission of guilt. I'm sorry for what I've done, just the desperation to get out. And we hear some people say, hey, look, I did not do that. Who's listening? Have they reopened cases for any of the gentlemen involved? Is there that kind of movement? Because I know that there's petitions that we can sign, and of course, I bet you everybody is now going to sign those. I encourage us to do so, but what's going on legal? Can you share that with us?
I think that's a work in progress. So it depends on case by case, but why don't you guys talk about your case?
Or you? I have.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. I'll be brief because I know we all have very different case situations going on. John Hamilton's case is very difficult in that he has appealed many, many times in so many different ways. I think what we're working on right now is it looks like essentially his conviction was based on BPA analysis, which, as you've all seen, is a field that a lot of people are questioning. What we have is a motion for DNA retesting. There is evidence that has been kept by the Oklahoma Police Department from this case that they haven't done third-party testing. So essentially, they tested the evidence for the DNA of John, but they did not test in case there was any other person at the scene of the crime when the crime was committed. We have that motion in right now, or John's attorneys do. The Oklahoma Innocence Project has that motion filed. However, we don't have any information as to whether the District Attorney's Office of Oklahoma City is willing to proceed with that. And so I think if there's anything that can be done, I think it's just pressure in that area. I mean, that's our only legal avenue forward for John. And so we're working towards, and following that, Instagram will give you updates in all of our cases. Following our social media will give you updates as to how that case is going along and what we're trying to get done.
So for Leonard Coleman, there are actually two things going on. I'll talk about one, Amra will talk about the other. So Leonard's appeals process has been certainly an uphill battle, just denial after denial after denial. And actually around the time that we went down to Alabama, another denial, which means that from that date, we have his lawyer has 3 months to submit a habeas corpus petition. So that is kind of the next legal step in the appeals process. But
So for a long time, Leonard's wife has been trying to get him to get this organization called Alabama Appleseed to represent him. They're one of the strongest organizations in Alabama to represent people who have been wrongfully convicted. And only recently, after reaching out to them through our program, and like Jessie has said, with the privilege that we have to have that sort of institution behind us, they finally accepted his case, and we have a really good lawyer to represent him in his parole hearing.
And then for Dan's situation, Dan has the same attorney as John Hamilton. And so on that end, he's been working on a post-conviction relief application based on a medical review. So that new medical evidence looking at the pneumonia and the potential for pneumonia-induced sepsis that could have happened. So that's kind of the legal avenue that Dan's been going down. And he hopes that with this video, it'll be a more tactile way to understand the case that will then push them to actually open the brief and read it. So that's kind of the legal avenue that's open for us that we're hoping the video will help support.
Yeah, and I think thank you guys all for your answers. I know, do you guys want to talk about Jacob Cobb's case really quick? Okay. I think what we're getting from this is that the documentaries are even ever more important because these cases are not resolved, right? This is an advocacy tool that we can use to get some movement.
Yeah. So we are kind of lucky in that Jacob is up for parole this year. And we have our law student Amanda has been working really hard on his parole packet, and it looks good, but obviously there's no way to predict what will happen. But he's been working really hard to get certificates, and he has a job in prison, and he's in a really good position to hopefully get that parole. But yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to get him exonerated because he didn't commit it. So that's what he deserves, but that's probably not the best option for him.
I know you were talking about how when being paroled, it's like admission of guilt. In Jacob's case, we are maintaining his innocence, but we are showing remorse. So, he was obviously a teenager when everything happened. He was rebellious. His prefrontal cortex wasn't developed. And so it's like, oh, I could have been there more for my grandmother, and I have grown in this way, but it's not admitting guilt to, oh, I killed her.
One more question.
First of all, it was very, very nice to see this professionalism of documentary. Y'all should really be proud of yourself and continue with it. The next thing, I have two questions. All the people that y'all interviewed and worked on were older people. Did that have a different thinking in yours that this might be my parents or my grandparents that we're looking at? That I'm a young person and these people are a lot older than I am. Are they going to try to fool me? And the second is this. Now that you've done this and y'all have worked with some attorneys, how many of y'all are thinking about being an attorney?
Why don't you raise your hand if you're thinking about going to law school? Okay, so we got a good amount. To the first question, which is about how, like, maybe how your youth played into working with your program participant. Does anyone?
I think primarily, we didn't meet our program participant like until later on in the semester. So what it really was is reading documents and more documents and more documents and looking for inconsistencies and seeing statements and other things. And so I feel like with the aspect of them being older, that comes more into play with meeting them in person. But when you're looking at documents that are fact, I think that helped me at least like make that decision early on before we even met them.
So let's go to Veronica.
To answer your first question, I think honestly we really enjoyed interviewing the people who spoke about Dan. We bonded over like our shared love and belief in his case, and truly just like got to know. I feel like we got to know Dan through his family and through his friends. And even though we weren't like in the same like age group, I think that really just didn't stop us from bonding with them, and yeah, just like sharing our love for him. And it was a great experience to go and talk to them. Footage, anything to help Dan. as he says.
I do think that age played a little bit of a role in I guess our interactions with the people that we interviewed. Like even as people have mentioned, going through all of the documents, there were things that I didn't even know existed. Like what is a Palm Pilot? I'm still a little bit confused, which was actually one of the first questions that I asked John when we got to finally meet with him. And I think some of the things that really that we saw were the time that people like these people spend incarcerated kind of lose like touch with what's going on a little bit, especially as we had like a more like an older program participant. So it's really I think one of the beautiful things in like forming a relationship with him was getting to like tell him about some of the things that are like going on or the things that we see in our lives. And there were also some like things that we got to discover, like some of the advancements in medical technology that we wouldn't have really otherwise explored if we were not interviewing these people. Like Dr. Rahal told us a lot about some of the changes in like medical advancements in OBGYN work, which kind of informed some of our understandings of like the larger things about the case. So it was really like something that we all learned from, but we also could like teach them a little bit about our lives as well, which was a beautiful experience.
I think that even though age did play a role to some extent, I think we are something that also stood out is that we were all there for John and we wanted to talk to John and we wanted to talk to people who knew him, and all of those people, no matter what age they were, showed up for him. And it was really amazing to see everyone come together like that. And that stood out a lot to me.
Okay, sorry. Just real quick for the did I ever think he was fooling me? No. I feel like already when I first read the case, I was just like, what? Like they let this through, or like that doesn't make any sense. So like already coming in like in from the standpoint that like there's absolutely no way that this person is responsible. And then that only was like strengthened when I met Leonard, because it felt like talking to an uncle of mine. Like it just felt very personal, very sweet. He remembered little things I told him. I think I mentioned earlier, like we talk about where he wants to go when he gets out. He says he's gonna fly to Maldives, like literally a week out from when he's out. So like, it's just very sweet. And so I never had that challenge of like trying to connect with him, because for me it was like family.
Yeah, and then kind of just adding on to that, we also got to meet a lot of Leonard's family and especially his kids. Leonard's kids are around our age actually. So we really got to hear from people who are our age who like have that kind of similar perspective on Leonard, and just really being able to meet everyone in his family, like they have just been so welcoming to us, and Leonard especially to what Amra said, like Leonard literally like signs off as saying that we're family, and like on the phone calls he's always talking about how we're a family and how like we stick together. And it just I feel like I know him much more as a person than as a document or like as a case file, because we speak on the phone so often. And so I really just place my trust in him the same that he's done with us. And so I trust what he's saying, and I know that he has that same trust in us. So it's very mutual. I never feel like either of us has violated that in any sense. I fully believe everything.
Um, I know. So there were a lot of family members who came here, but there are a lot of Leonard's family members that are on Zoom. Not to sorry to call you guys out, but if I did just want to give you guys the chance to maybe say something if you want to. Let me do my best here, and to see. Yeah. I had muted you guys. Oh no. So I think if you unmute yourself, you can probably no.
Hi.
Yeah, go for it.
Hello. I'm Lexi. I'm Leonard's daughter, and I just want to give a shout out to Amra and Carly. They're so amazing. I would also like to thank Rice University and Georgetown for all of your work. And yeah, thank you so much. This was so great. So I'm in my office watching from work, and it's just so great to see all of the documentaries. All of them were very great and just very touching. So Thank you to all of the students, and special shout out to Amber and Carly.
Anyone else want to say something on Zoom? Anyone, Leonard's children?
I'm Anaya. I'm like the youngest daughter, and I just want to say thank you guys. You guys really helped a lot, and you guys did great with all the other cases and my father's case. And I want to give a special thanks because you guys' documentary went very well, and I appreciate you guys a lot. And thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you guys, everyone on Zoom. I'm going to give the mic to Mark to close us out.
Well, I just want to once again congratulate the students. You did an amazing job. This is the first year this program has existed at Rice, and these were as good as we've ever seen. And so you made such compelling cases. You're such strong advocates. To answer some of the previous questions, this is the premiere. They just appeared, and now we're going to do everything we can to spread these documentaries, to push and advocate for their release from prison and their freedom and coming back to their families. I'm so glad that there are families that are joining on Zoom. Jacob's friend who's here. The families do the time too. They suffer, and in a wrongful conviction is just absolutely horrific, the pain that families go through. And so we do this for them, and so that gets at the question of purpose that was asked earlier. And I want to say one last thing about youth, because, you know, Marty and I have been doing this for a long time. We get countless letters from prison. It's overwhelming. We have now a whole team that opens our mail, that goes through cases. We have a whole summer team of pro bono law students and people who volunteer to help review cases. It's utterly overwhelming. But even the cases that we do take, and there are 22 this year across the 5 schools, there's only so much that we as individuals, even those of us who are lawyers, can do. There are thousands and thousands of pages. It's impossible for one person or a small team to do more than just one or a handful of cases. And so really the secret sauce of Making an Exoneree is that we found a solution, which is students, because they are young, hardworking, determined, dedicated, and they do such an amazing job. And by working in teams of 3, they read thousands of pages. They become experts on the case. They develop a relationship with the person in prison. I hope you felt that through the phone calls, the connection that they form. This is lifelong, right? I mean, I'm going to ask this question right now, but it's a rhetorical one. How many of you, whether it's in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, will drop everything if your program participant walks out of prison? If you get that call saying they're coming out, who's going to just stop everything and go there for that release? Raise your hand. All hands raised. And that's the commitment that they bring. That's the commitment we bring as a program, but we couldn't do it without students. And that's why we need to spread the program. You saw that there was a QR code up there. We do all of this through private philanthropy, through donors who support this vision, who support this work, who support students doing this transformational work. They're extraordinary, and I want everyone to give a standing ovation for those who are here, to our students, for this incredible job they did.
Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you to everyone who joined us on Zoom. Sorry you can't join us for our reception, but everyone who's here, we have a little reception outside, food, drinks. So if you have more questions, you'd like to talk to the students, please join us. Thank you.
Now celebrate.
I wasn't